Hey, what's up, Canada and beyond? Welcome back. It is Tuesday, September 10th, and we're going to take another swim through the swamp, my friends, family, patriots, prisoners, and comrades, I guess, these days. And yeah, to me, if you can't tell by the headline of tonight's show, real Canadians, yeehaw, they want a little more Justin. I've definitely got my sarcasm pants on today. And yeah, so if you're new here, I hope you guys find enough value and entertainment and truth to make sure that you hit the subscribe button. If you guys are not new here, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up or the heart or the retweet or whatever it is on whatever platform it is that you are catching us live on. We're still streaming on Facebook every day. That's a surprise to me. Apparently, Mr. Zuckerberg has had somewhat of a change of heart, but that doesn't mean that we're still reaching the people that we should be reaching. So that depends on you guys. This is symbiotic. I swim through the nonsense to try and find the best stuff, and you guys pay it forward. So, starting out of the gates today, I guess same as every other day, the first thing I need to do is remind people that where you can find this platform and this community, because that's really what this is all about. It's about community building, and it's always free. It's always going to be available on a couple of platforms, even if the censorship takes this down from any one of the platforms that we regularly stream to. Facebook is almost like a novelty again lately. We were banned for months. We weren't allowed there. So at some point, there's going to be some accountability, some lawsuits, some of those kinds of things, but we're still a long ways from there, and we've got a lot of work to do. And Substack, guys, is where every day, everything that I covered the night before is included, the links, the references, the resources, any documents that we might cover, everything is published in the Substack. The next morning comes out usually around just after 8 in the morning Eastern time. And it's all free. Like I said, if you do choose to support me in what I do, there is an option there when you subscribe to the notifications for Substack that you can subscribe for, I think it's $8 a month, which is like, what, 50 cents a show for what we do here. And that is a great way to help me build enough to survive on and keep my craft dinner regular. If you can't, remember the handle there. You can always find us on the whatsupcanada.org website. And there's going to be some special news and announcements coming up over the next couple of days, some project work. You guys know that I often team up with other individuals in this space to do something extraordinary or special or significant around critical events, critical things that people need to do or can get involved in or get educated on, whatever the case might be. But it's about, breaking out of the silos that we tend to find ourselves in, introducing communities to new people, new speakers, and we do a lot of that at international levels. So there's going to be some announcements coming up that real soon. To do with that real soon. So make sure you get plugged in to one of these platforms. And yep, absolutely, little farmer. I got my sarcasm pants on today. this, you know, notwithstanding the Trump-Harris debate that's going to be on a little bit later tonight, I'm glad our timing is a little bit pre that, so everybody will be able to go and partake of their coffee or beverage and entertainment at its finest a little later on this evening. But if we didn't inject some humor into some of these shenanigans, it certainly wouldn't be worth watching. But where I almost forgot where I was going with that, but yeah. So it's definitely Canada's soap opera swamp is getting more interesting, right? The last couple of days, it's been a roller coaster ride through the carnival of liberal politics, and but yeah, get plugged in. This is our home base, our headquarters. You can find out about our partners here, and we're going to be having a gets together uh, next Sunday, I believe, at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Private member, or pardon me, not private member, but it's open to everybody. But you have to register in advance. I haven't got a link for you guys yet, but I'm just kind of throwing it out there so you guys can watch for it over the next year or two. There will be a link coming for our to talk about some of the stuff our friends are doing to defund the cabal. Uh, we've been doing this for about a year now, a little over a year, and growing and evolving, and some really good stuff happening there. It's kind of an international thing, partnership between the U.S. and Canadian patriots, taking the money, basically giving the Bud Light treatments to BlackRock. So watch for that link there. And so let's get into it. Kind of a follow-up article to the Coots story that I think is going to and rightfully needs to remain in the public space for a while. It cannot fall through the cracks. And Mocha Berzin, power to this kid. I like his work. He is like a dog with a bone. And so something that's kind of fallen through the cracks in this story is this quote unquote golden envelope. And this post, Mocha is interviewing an advocate who believes sealed envelope holds key to corruption in the Coots case. There was an envelope sealed right through pretrial that I believe had a lot to do with Stephen Johnson, our Crown prosecutor, and the RCMP. There was corruption happening within, said Alex Van Herk, after the two accused in the Coots case were sentenced to up to 6.5 years in prison before reductions. If that envelope had been unsealed and allowed to be brought forward to the courts, this case probably would have been thrown out to some degree. Alex added, who himself is facing up to 10 years in prison after being found guilty of mischief, over $5,000 for his role in the anti-COVID mandate blockade. They just arbitrarily assigned numbers, but even the accused are not aware of what's inside. The lawyers are aware of it, and it was not allowed to be shared with the accused. I'd love nothing more than to see these things held to account for the injustices they've imposed on these guys. So I think this is absolutely one of those things that the court of public opinion has the opportunity to weigh in on to an effect. And we have to keep highlighting while we can, the corruption and the injustices within our judiciary. This is, this is an ongoing thing. The capture of our judiciary is a pillar of our institutions, and we have to fight for that accountability. So that envelope is critical information. There's more coming out about this. It's going to be interesting now that the trial is basically quote unquote over. I'm sure there's going to be appeals. I'm not sure what it's going to work out to as far as time served. Sometimes it's 1.5 days per day served. Sometimes it's 2. But at the end of the day, the whole thing reeks of shady, and these guys are political scapegoats. And I think that we have to continue to push for answers on this within our capabilities. So stay plugged into this ongoing saga of Canadian political persecution. So On to the next swamp creature. This is, there's more coming out about this taxpayer-funded Trudeau Liberal loan program designated for future entrepreneurs, which has cost the government over $45 million to date, with one of the top recipients being Foreign Minister Melanie Jolie's husband. Just, kind of wanted to set the tone about this individual and not surprise everybody with what comes next, and hence the the sarcastic tone of the title today. Real Canadians want more justice, and of course they do. We're going to listen to Nova Scotia Liberal MP Jamie Batista say that he's not hearing it's time for change.
And I talk to people at the doors. I don't get that, that sense that we're in trouble in the Atlantic. I think that the Atlantic has typically been a progressive spot. It's not. It's one of those places that are kind of meat and potato fisheries, EI kind of folks that tell us how they think we're doing, and from all indications that I've had, they don't reflect what the polls show. When I talk to people at the door.
So everything's hunky-dory, sunshine and lollipops, rainbows and unicorns in the Maritimes, according to this Liberal MP. But I can assure you they are not, and it's about to get a little noisier out there. Special congratulations to my friend Peter Yetman, who's just successfully been elected to his council in Newfoundland there, and they have no idea what they're going to see coming in that district. So this is, contrary to the media line, the party line is a lie at this point in the Liberal side of the campaign trail, and I couldn't help but wonder, because I started to hear this same line from multiple of the higher profile Liberal candidates that everything's hunky-dory, everything's hunky-dory. So my first question here now is, did they come up with this line in Nanaimo at their retreat? And because they're all touting the exact same party line.
What I heard this summer was Canadians don't want elections. They just want us to do the job. They just want us to govern. And that's what we're doing. We're governing. We're taking tough decisions. Why? Because times are tough. And so, wait, let me finish. I'm speaking. So, the reality is, like I said in French, is we know that cost of living is too expensive, that people are frustrated with it. So what do? We do everything to reduce the cost of things and services.
So,
Murky, what I heard.
This is the same lady, the same lady whose husband has been the biggest beneficiary of the $45 million of embezzled money. And she's trying to tell people, shut up and listen. Canadians don't want an election. They just want us to govern. They just want us to leave. Sit down, shut up. Nobody wants to object. How dare you? This is just monumental arrogance and deceit and desperation. It is. How could you not do absolutely mock this level of disgusting deception? All right, my fellow comrades. Tuesday's edition of the We Are All Russian Agents saga. For those that aren't aware, Mr. Mark Gerritsen made some claims yesterday about this online profile called Cat Canada. and claiming that he had every right to block a Russian-paid operative, exactly like we were talking about here a couple of nights ago over the last few days, that they were going to start doing and using and leveraging this. But this time, and Mark Garretson is a bootlicking Nazi seal clapping sycophant of the liberal regime. Absolutely, 100%. For a party like the Liberals that are always squealing like banshees about importing American politics, Mark Garretson is the one that is running around saying everything a conservative says is weird, just weird. This is Mark Garretson. I don't even know what riding he's an MP of, but I'm sure that they're really, really pleased with him. Not. But he made some serious allegations, and we're going to run through a few different takes of this, but on this situation, because this isn't just these people have a duty and a responsibility. Kingston area, good to know. Thank you, Stephen. And yeah, he is a real piece of work. And these allegations, you're going to hear a little bit more about it. It's more than nothing. But I wanted to hear from Cat Canada first.
Justin Trudeau's deputy government House leader, Mark Garretson, has crossed the line, and now the counter-signal is lawyering up to defend me, a journalist, against his baseless, bigoted, and vindictive allegations that I'm a Russian agent. Let me make one thing clear. I'm not. I'm a single mother working tirelessly to hold Justin Trudeau accountable for his disastrous record. And because I'm effective at what I do, Garretson made me a
Keyword, she is effective at exposing Garretson and the liberal corruption. She has a big following. She has influence, and she is she is a master troll at baiting them with their own insanity and stupidity, which is what makes her effective. So, yeah.
target. He lied about me and used his position to call for me to be subpoenaed by Parliament.
Correct.
But we're not backing down. We're not letting one of Canada's most notorious liberals drag my name through the mud simply because he doesn't like the truth. Neither I nor the counter-signal have ever taken a dime from tenant media or the Russian government. These accusations are not just false, they're reckless. The damage caused by Garretson is serious. He's used his position in Trudeau's government to attack me and, by extension, the counter-signal. We're one of few truly independent outlets in Canada, refusing federal money so we can bring you the real news about Trudeau and his government without fear. And Garretson hates us for it. In an emotional outburst, he made a dangerous mistake, and we will hold him personally accountable for this. Garretson will almost certainly use government lawyers to defend his indefensible actions. We don't have endless piles of taxpayer cash to light on fire, so we need you to stand with us while we take Garretson to court. If you stand with us, please go to suegarretson.com.
All right. No, that's I'll add the links for all of this. So if you don't know, the counter signal, who she refers to as her employer, that's Kian Bexty. That's his platform. And I love this comment. Thanks, Ali's dad. Fairly certain the Russians have better things to do. But this is significant, and thank you for identifying this, Kevin Joseph Babin, because this is going to be me next. You are 100% correct on that. This is this is all intertwined, connected to some of the they're going to Leonard. Connected to the policies and bills that we've talked about ad nauseum over the last little while, how the Liberal Party is incredibly desperate to complete their mission, and they're in trouble, in deep trouble. And this little fiasco by Mr. Garretson is going to make it a little bit more difficult for them. So I've got a really long post here from Ezra, Levant at Rebel News, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's, I'll leave that up to you guys if you want to go and find this on X. But Ezra is a master at suing the government, and I went looking for. I should have screenshotted Garrettson's initial post at the time, because he recanted, he retracted, he hasn't apologized. But we're going to go through Ezra's take on this, and you can dig into it a little bit deeper on your own, where he said, "I saw Mark Garrettson's insane tweet defaming Cat Canada as being in the pay of Vladimir Putin, and I saw her statement that she intends to sue him for defamation. And here's why I think Garrettson is actually in some real trouble. It's factually false. There was no fact checking. He has prominence and audience, and is routinely mocked as a clown on Twitter, but that doesn't change the fact that he's a powerful man who's a part of the government." Which is exactly true. He is a government authority, which has the gray government check mark, which implies authority and accuracy. So he has undue influence, shall we say. Politicians can't use the power of the state to settle personal grudges against private citizens. Sound like no one has ever told him that, but a judge probably will. There is malice. Malice is deadly in defamation law. If your statements were motivated by ill will, you can lose various defenses, such as fair comment. Garrettson is one of Trudeau's most loyal attack dogs, who seems to say literally anything handed to him on a piece of paper. His track record of quarreling with Cat in the past suggests that this was a vendetta, not a genuine tweet motivated by good faith in the public interest. I bet he's tempted to scrub his timeline of past interactions with Cat, but that would only make things worse. A judge would see that as trickery and attempt to hide things from the court. 100%. Cat is a Russian by ethnicity. This is why she is so effective at countering the communism. Very much like Tayana Truthseeker. They've lived this unsustainable insanity before. That's why their families ended up here. This is why they're so vehemently against it. This is why they call out these meat muppets and global communist fascist clowns, and they're effective. But that doesn't mean that they are guilty. And this is the baseless powers that these guys have, and the damage that they can do based on picking whatever they want to do. He is committing vendetta crimes, literally, and trying to use the power of the government now, and he will use taxpayer-funded lawyers in his own defense for this. Just because she's Russian by ethnicity, well, if I go far enough back, I'm German by ethnicity. Does that make me a Nazi? Does that make me an enemy of the state? No. But the fact that I call out Garrettson for being a seal-clapping Nazi lover myself puts me right next in line for this kind of thing, right? She's just better at it than I am. So, in a lawsuit, each party must disclose relevant documents in their possession, such as emails, Twitter DMs. If Cat didn't take any payments to appear on the show in question, that should be easy to prove. In a defamation, the defamer has to prove the truth of his smear, not the other way around. So what happens next? I think Garrettson is used to the freedom of the House of Commons, where you can't be sued for defamation, no matter what you say. And on Twitter, he's usually just stupid, not defamatory. I will agree with that. This is a whole new world he's about to enter, and simply deleting a tweet won't be enough to fix it. Of course, he'll get a free lawyer, courtesy of taxpayers, but that won't change the fact that he'll have to disclose all of his records and explain why he simply made up facts which he claims to be against fake news. I think his threat to subpoena Cat is dead in the water. He wouldn't dare go through with such an abusive stunt with litigation afoot. I think he's caught himself in a trap. I'd say he's about to be embarrassed in a very meticulous and tenacious way. But then again, I'm not sure if Garrettson even gets embarrassed. As I said before, taxpayers will pay for his lawyers. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Some personal anecdotes of his to go in there as well with that. And so much of what he said there is on point. This is where somebody has stepped in their own damn trap. And the one thing the one thing that these meat muppets have not yet figured out is that most of us Canadians that are effective against them wouldn't even be in this if they hadn't screwed with us. I never would have been in this arena if it wouldn't have been for their evil. And I tend to be meticulous in my dissection of exposing their crimes and corruption as well. So is Kean Beckstein. So I got a special friend. And Kean is also like a dog with a bone in this kind of thing. So as of just an hour and a half ago, as the publisher, a public statement from said Kean Beckstein, the publisher at the Counter Signal and employer of Cat Canada. It is my duty to defend her against government officials who defame her. As of a few minutes ago, we have served Mark Garrettson with our demands. They are as follows. We demand that the Liberal Deputy House Leader publish the following 3 tweets to his X profile and pin each tweet to the top of his account for 5 clear days. Oh, exactly. Exactly the most humiliating thing that he could have demanded. Kean is one of those people that they just should not have messed with, and Garrettson is stupid, and now he is going to have to pay the price. And now will he be sacrificed in the cull of the Liberal Party after he so is he going to do these things that Kean is demanding, like the statement saying, I would like to sincerely apologize to Cat Canada and the Counter Signal for my reckless and unfounded allegation that she is funded by the Russian government and should be investigated by Parliament. Canada is a democracy and our political system should not be wielded as weapons against journalists. Cat and indeed all Canadians deserve to be treated with respect, especially by those like me in positions of public trust. I will be personally donating $1,000 to the Loaves and Fishes Community Food Bank in Nanaimo, BC, a charity chosen by Cat. If others who shared my original tweet would like to do the same, they can do so here. Second, we demand that he correct the record of his recent tweet that incorrectly linked to Cat Canada, an intentional misspelling which made it appear like Cat Canada TM was suspended by X for the falsehoods that he published about her. Third, he must unblock Cat and commit to not blocking her in the future. This has been required of other grey check government accounts and is reasonable. Lastly, in lieu of paying Cat directly for the damages done to her reputation, Mark Garrettson must personally donate $1,000 to a food bank in Nanaimo. If this fair and reasonable resolution is not met by 5 p.m., Mountain Standard Time on September 13th. So that's a couple, 3 days. That's Friday. We'll keep you posted on this growing episode of Barbecue the Liberal Sycophant with Kean Bexley and Cat Canada. So they've got Mark in a corner right now. So I think it's I think this is a civil way to humiliate these guys. The interesting part will be, what happens to Mark within the party now. It wasn't more than a few days ago when the head of the Trudeau's campaign team resigned, saying he can't win. So today, there's apparently over the weekend at the caucus retreat, there was a whole bunch more that decided to bail on the sinking ship as well. So we'll touch on that a little bit later. I wanted to pull this up here. Bill, who is Kean Bexley? Kean Bexley was a rebel reporter for a long time, relentless on the government. I know Kean. He's a guy we don't see eye to eye all the time. He is, he is dedicated to his craft, and when he gets angry, it's a different kind of angry. He will eviscerate you in the news and the media space. That's his specialty. And as far as journalists go, he is the FAFO kind of Canadian journalist. You don't have to always agree with him, but if he sets his sight on exposing you for doing some stupid shit, he is a dog with a bone. 100%. So, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how this progresses over coming days. Um, I hate to take amusement at the expense of some people's stupidity, but Mark Garrison, in this case, 100% deserves all of the comedic applause that he gets for being one of the clapping seals for Trudeau. And on the other side of it, for me doing what I do in this space, I wouldn't have the ability to fight back. Like I don't have a Kean Bexty, to back me up when these people come at me in different capacities. So I'm hoping that this kind of puts them on their heels a little bit, and they don't get too brazen with some of their their attempts to silencing us. It's getting outrageous. I know they're letting me stream on Facebook still, but for example, 40,000 followers almost on Facebook. Only about 100 or 150 people even get notifications. So that's what they do to reduce our reach, being news. So yeah. Why? Because we talk about stuff they don't like. we talk. It's interesting how I heard it described earlier today with this malinformation. What was behind uh, the allegations against Lauren Chan, Lauren Southern, all of those guys over the last few days as well. And it's not just information the government doesn't like. It's what they don't approve of, or protects their interests. Is arbitrarily what they're interested in stopping it. And at this point, all it takes is allegations, and that's the weaponization of the system. So kudos to these guys for kicking back on that, because if it wasn't for people like Kat and Kian and myself and many others out there now that have lived through the worst of it, survived through it, and have become effective. And I don't have the numbers on this platform. I'm not allowed to have the numbers on this platform that we used to have. It's only because we did so much damage to the lies. The Doctor Talk series that we took part in was a testimony, was the foundation of probably the reaching of that is far beyond anything I could ever calculate. And so this is why they are afraid of Kat and Kian and myself. So I am celebrating this. Why? Because there is more horrible stuff to come that we need to talk about. And while these guys are kicking them back on their heels, we're going to talk about what I think is some sedition in Canada going on. So spotted on Instagram, Revolutionary Communists Party of Canada is hosting a school of communism in Vancouver in the last weekend of September. The agenda includes marking the 75th anniversary of the CCP rule in China. And just like capitalists, the commies want money. So look at all of these brainwashed fools. And this is what they're actually putting together. The BC Marxist School in Vancouver on the 28th of September. Right? They're raising money to try and implement CCP rule in British Columbia. I know, right? Goko, you can't even, like, WTF, right? Stefan, they're probably campaigning for those bills 100%. But yeah, for $110 you can show your solidarity and get a $50 ticket and go to the School of Communism and celebrate the marking of 75 years of their rule. So taters tate, terrorists terrorize, and some cults and radical ideologies have been set loose in Canada. And here's a video from John Abbott College in Montreal, which shows communist students calling for a shutdown of campuses across Canada. First, it was the encampments. Now they want to shut down education for all. Maybe these guys were the first graduates of BC's School of Communism, but I don't know. But let's hear what they've got to say in 34 seconds about what they want.
Students, the best thing we can do for the people in Gaza right now is to shut down our campuses. If we all go and strike together, if every campus across Canada has been shut down, the government won't have any choice but to listen to us. So if you're sick of the genocide and you're sick of standing by while this horror goes on, you need to get organized. You need to get involved in this mass movement that we are building right now. We are building toward a student strike for Palestine. Student strike for Palestine. Student strike for Palestine. Student strike for Palestine. Students, the best thing we can do.
Sorry, guys, I had to make you listen to that. So, literally, these deluded meat muppet clone troopers are calling for overthrowing the education system in support of Palestine. I suggest it would be more efficient for Canada to send them over on a plane and let them look after the problem in Palestine themselves. Right. But, this is not the only place where diversity is making life less than comfortable. Let's take a look at this flight to Australia.
Emergency in midair. Passengers ran, sparking sky-high fear over northwest New South Wales. Malaysian Airlines flight MH122 departed Sydney Airport around 1:40 yesterday afternoon, bound for Kuala Lumpur, with 199 passengers and 12 crew on board. But less than 2 hours in, a 45-year-old man launched into a tirade. Passengers on board say the man was threatening to blow the plane up, with thinly veiled threats about a dangerous item in his backpack. The plane was turned around, and by 3:47 was back on the tarmac, beginning an almost 3-hour standoff. Runways closed, flights cancelled, and terminals in lockdown. Emergency crews attempting to disarm the situation. Passengers moved to the back of the plane, live tweeting the ordeal as aircrew negotiated with the man, calling the actions of AFP into question. Where is airport security, one writes. It's been well over an hour since the plane has landed back. The first passengers finally evacuated at 6:30 p.m. The man at the center of the saga taken off the plane in cuffs. So all of that unfolded.
This kind of stuff is getting worse. Nobody can tell me that it's not getting worse. And they're with Bill C-36. This is why I people sometimes accuse me of making mountains out of molehills. I would argue with them that if I don't say something now, as these bills continue to get pushed through the bloody Senate, and now the Senate is controlled by globalists, Bill C-36 brings up Islamophobia as a hate crime without an actual clear definition. So the more tolerant we are of this kind of these kinds of atrocities and offenses and the crimes that are being committed in Canada, and they're not publishing, and they're deceiving us on who is committing these actual freaking crimes, and we're not allowed to say anything because then it's Islamophobia. And I want people to grab their spine on this one and remind them that there is no such thing as Islamophobia. A phobia, it can't be a phobia unless it is an irrational or misguided fear. That's what makes it a phobia. And there is nobody on this planet that should possibly ever have an irrational fear of Islam. So that makes it an oxymoron. If you're not is Islamic, then you should fear it. That's just their decision. That is history. 1,400 years and counting, 680 million dead, and going for broke now. We cannot allow us to be silenced by bills like C-36 silencing us for this Maoist terminology created to silence actual rational self-preservation and real world self survival of these radical ideologies that are now calling to shut down the education systems and having training programs. It's absolutely absurd. And now this story is kind of in the same vein of this. Tommy Robbins is such a controversial figure because of the things that he says and what he does. But why? What made Tommy Robinson was exactly what's going on in Hamilton, or pardon me, Brampton. So this post from Darshan Maharaj, Theophanes Rex on X, female international students targeted for prostitution by Brampton landlords, according to a counselor. Suicides are up, slumlording and derelict properties. Concerned citizens have been speaking up against this for years. Finally, the issue gets attention from politicians. An article from the Toronto Sun. The rape gangs, the rape landlords, that's exactly what created Tommy Robinson trying to stand up for that in the UK. And here we are, finally coming to light in Brampton. And, Brampton is a place that scares the bejesus out of me. Been there, done that. No, thank you very much. I do not need a t-shirt from Brampton. It was a couple of days after I was there the last time, somebody sent me a video from there with these people literally having machete sword fights, a dozen of them on the streets of Brampton. Well, that's Brampton. I don't need to go there. I'm glad somebody is finally talking about that level of crime. It is absolutely absurd, and that is not Canadian-made crime going on in Brampton. Again, this diversity and silencing is just it's such a suicide pill, right? I bet it was a lot better in the 80s, like a lot of places in Canada. A lot of places in Canada, a lot. Brampton, though, I think is on the extreme tip of the cultural enrichment evidence as to why diversity is not a strength in Canada, if you're a Canadian at this point. Anyways, but another clip here from, Brampton went through they went past the point of no return quite some time ago in Brampton as far as for being a diverse community. Anything Canadian is an extreme minority. And it's getting that way in a lot of the urban centers. Uh, yeah, sorry to hear they moved. I hope that they're safer where they now are now, because Brampton is not a place I would want to have kids. It's terrible. It is terrible. And a lot of other places are not far behind when it comes to that. Hamilton, Hamilton's bad too. Been there, done that. Um, barely got out of that one with my life, but that was a whole other story. But back to the talking tater tots and the the Justin Trudeau led Liberal Party that only real Canadians understand, and they want more Justin Trudeau. Let's hear what the talking tater tot has to say about the barring MPs who are guilty of treason from the next election. I think you guys need to hear this, and yeah, I'm going to make you listen to the talking tater tot for 36 seconds.
What would be that? Do you believe that the MPs who collaborated with the foreign powers should be excluded from the nomination process for the next election?
The Minister of Public Safety has been at committee today and answered questions extensively on the report. Our government takes foreign interference very seriously, and law enforcement is working hard on this issue as well.
So, in other words, no, give two shits. You're dumb. Sit down, shut up. Canadians want more leadership from them. This one. Sorry guys, I got to make you listen to this one here too. It's not going to be a real long show tonight, a little bit longer, but I've got a couple of good clips that people need to hear. Now we're getting into more of the talking tater tot and the Carney saga, and this is something else that we have to be acutely aware of what is actually happening.
Absolument pas. Absolument pas.
Not at all. Not at all.
Moi et Marc, nous sommes des
Mark and I are friends
Oh.
from a very long time,
contre nos familles.
even
Je respecte Marc
between friends with our families. I
Et je
respect
parle
Mark
avec Marc
enormously, and I speak with Mark often. I think that it's a really good thing for the Liberal Party and for Canadians to have advice from Mark regarding the economy, and I'll repeat in English.
Thank you for the question. I'm really glad to welcome Mark here to our cabinet retreat. He is a real addition to our team. Mark is a friend of a personal friend of very long standing. He's someone who I talk to often and whom I've talked to often about economic policy since becoming finance minister. I had a long conversation with him over the weekend. It's really great for our team.
It's really great.
To have Mark providing advice to the Liberal Party so that we can support Canada and Canadians. Well, in terms of Mark's policies, views, I think those are questions for Mark. I think you guys know my view on hypotheticals. As I learned during the NAFTA negotiations, it's never a good idea for a politician to answer hypotheticals.
You guys win. I can't listen to any more of that, but such a good thing that Mark Carney is now going to be Justin Trudeau's new official handler, shall we say. Christia, just beaming, still gets to keep her portfolio and her job, and nobody's going to eat her today. So yeah, all is sunshine and lollipop there, but I listened to Brian Lilly's take on some of this today, and he brought up some interesting stuff. So I'm going to play the whole 4 minutes with Brian here. We don't agree on everything, but I think he's about as fair and reasonable as an adult in the leftovers of the legacy media Mockingbird mercenary space, but he brings up some stuff that even I had forgotten about, and I think it's important for people to put it into context to flesh out the color of the story that's happening in front of us.
Mark Carney as the Liberal savior? I don't think so. Hi, I'm Brian Lilly, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. I've been telling you for a while now that Mark Carney is not the savior of the Liberal Party. He is a smart guy who doesn't have good political instincts. Remember that beer can photo? He's holding a can of beer, wearing his Edmonton Oilers jersey during the playoffs, trying to look like a normal person. Not even sure that beer can is open in the besides, he just looks awkward. Then there's the fact that, well, he is someone who can't communicate all that effectively in terms that normal people can understand. That was a problem when he was the Bank of Canada governor. Sure, super smart, but to get elected, you need to be able to communicate effectively to the average person in ways that they can understand. Mark Carney has great difficulty doing that. So we're still not sure if he's going to enter electoral politics, but he has been appointed a special advisor on economic growth, not to the government, not to the Prime Minister, but to the Liberal Party of Canada and their leader, Justin Trudeau. A couple of things on that. One, last time we had one of these, it did.
So basically, he just got to be the boss without going through any democratic process. He just walked in the room in Nanaimo and said, Uncle Klaus sent me to clean up the children's mess. Now they will take the orders and they will do what you're told. And you will say it is sunshine and lollipops like Klaus tells you. That's what Mark Carney brings into the room. Canadians should have a real concern about unelected personnel being brought in to be the supervisor to anything even remotely resembling this fiasco called the Liberal Party of Canada.
Didn't go so well for Canada, but went very well for
This is where it gets good.
Of the guy who was asked to head it up. Back in 2016,
the last time,
Dominic Barton, the chair of McKinsey Consulting.
Oh, wait, 2016? Don't Leclerc? McKinsey? Don't say.
They were appointed. And two main things that stick out from their report that the government implemented: increasing immigration massively, up to 500,000 people a year for
Imagine that.
Plus, making it
how many we getting?
To bring in temporary foreign workers for low-wage jobs. This has been disastrous for Canada. Both policies. We've got a housing crisis exacerbated by the massive immigration that we've got going on. We've got a healthcare crisis made worse by bringing in more than a million people a year without increasing capacity to our health system. And then the fact that the immigration system has just simply fallen apart. All of these are problems brought about by the economic growth policies that Barton recommended. By the way, after he left that, contracts to his company, McKinsey, skyrocketed. And an Auditor General's report raised serious questions about how those were handed out. So there's a lot of issues here when it comes to that last one. Is it going to be different with Carney? He's still a chair of transition investing at Brookfield Asset Management, a major vendor to the federal government. Are their contracts going to go up?
Conflict of interest.
Positions on the board of Stripe, the major online payments firm, the position on the board of the World Economic Forum, his position as UN advisor on climate change and finance.
Oh, wait. You don't think that maybe, he has any input on, like Bill C-23 or 293 that they're trying to push through the Senate? Remember when I keep talking about Bill C-63 and Bill C-293 being the desperate bills that they need to get pushed through to be the foundation of the Great Reset to implement climate change, this guy's specialty, as pandemic justification for calling pandemic crises, and silencing us if we should object, and not silencing us like Mark Gerritsen tried, but actually silencing us.
He's on the board of. On and on it goes. There are no ethical rules for him to advise the government through the Liberal Party, just if he was appointed to a government position. So the Conservatives are now asking for the Ethics Commissioner to look into this. I don't think much will come of it. But then what of his advice? Yes, Carney is a smart man. I've said that for years, going back to when I covered him as Bank of Canada governor. But check out this clip from the last Ottawa mayoralty election.
Smart banking wise does not mean the man has a clue about any other damn thing. He is 100% one of the guys that floats behind being a kingmaker, never wanting to be the king. And he doesn't want to be the king in Canada right now. He's probably more the condescending elite billionaire type pissy that he's got to clean up the mess that Trudeau and his talking tater tots and Garretsons are making. But and so he'll tell them what to do, and they'll write to the checks, do the stealing, whatever the fixer says. That's what he's doing is he's being brought in as a fixer, and even though his companies work directly and receive contracts from these guys, no, nothing to see here in Canada, folks.
Hi, I'm Mark Carney. I moved back to this city 2 years ago because I know that Ottawa is a great place to raise a
He moved back 2 years ago because Trudeau was messing up.
family. It's got an open communities and high level of community spirit.
A lot of people are sharing this clip because Carney showing low energy.
He's like a sloth, a slug. And he's like, do I really have to be there? Right? But that's not the only thing.
Charisma. He has charisma. Believe me, he can turn it on. He
No.
can be a very charming
Don't
guy.
buy it.
But in that clip, he is looking low energy. But what caught my eye was the sign behind him at the beginning. That's a sign for Catherine McKenney. She's the longtime left-wing councillor in Ottawa City Hall, an NDPer on the left wing of the NDP party. So he is essentially endorsing the socialist candidate for mayor. There was a liberal, Mark Sutcliffe, running in that election. Sutcliffe won. Mark Carney didn't even endorse the moderate liberal running for office. What's he going to advise? This is showing that he is just going to bring about more left-wing ideas for the Trudeau government to implement. And in my view, Canadians are fed up with those.
100% agree with you on that one, Brian. He is a low vibrational piece of something or another. And he's a get her done guy for Klaus and the international bankers. That's what he is. He's the get her done guy, the Mr. Fix It for the bankers. Come in and tell you what's to do to steal the money and move on with it. So I'm only going to play here just a minute of this clip from Northern Perspective, where they bring up some points about the 5 more senior officials resigning.
Carney joined the Liberals, Andrew Scheer trolled Trudeau's caucus, and Mark Holland tried to tell everyone that everything's fine and nobody pays attention to the polls. Sure, Mark.
Let's take a look. Today, the Liberals announced that Carney will serve as chair of Trudeau's task force on economic growth to help craft policies to boost Canada's lackluster productivity numbers. Conservative House Leader and former leader Andrew Scheer came to Nanaimo to predict the caucus retreat will do nothing to change Liberal fortunes.
Smoke and mirrors.
It doesn't matter what kind of paint they slap on the Liberal brand. 9 years of Liberal policies have done this. Mark Carney won't change that direction.
So far, most MPs are saying, at least publicly, that the party is unified behind the Prime Minister.
So, Mark Carney, the prodigal son, doesn't return, but he just moves a little closer.
So what he did is he got a promotion and a raise. I wonder if they pull up the clip here of Mark Holland. Oh, yeah, they do. This is worth listening to, so I don't have to pull it up elsewhere. But Mark Holland is Dr. Death in Canada. His pet project is MAID and expanding our MAID program in any and every capacity. And right now, the only thing holding him up is willing participants in the medical field that don't want to be in the medical field to kill people, which is what he is all about right now. So I'm going to skip over here to this portion.
Just great.
Two-time central bank governor and longtime Liberal Mark Carney is taking on a new role with the Liberal Party of Canada after a summer of speculation over whether he'd replace Chrystia Freeland as finance minister. Announced today, Carney will chair the Leaders Task Force on Economic Growth, a move that comes as he's set to address the gathering Liberal caucus in Nanaimo, British Columbia. It's the first time Liberal MPs have huddled together since the surprise and significant loss of their long-held Toronto St. Paul's seat back in June. Earlier today, I spoke with Health Minister Mark Holland just before he left Toronto for that meeting.
So just before we get into this little exchange with Mark Holland, I want to pull up a couple of comments here. How much are we paying this scumbag? I don't know. Every dollar is one too much. With Carney absolutely a part of the big boy club, but there was I haven't gone and found the names of the 5 who have stepped down over the weekend. But one of the things that Mark Holland gives me the creeps 100%. To me, I couldn't be in the same space with this man. He is like Satan walking, and I knew he'd been around for a while, but I had no idea how long this swamp creature has been at work for the Liberal Party, and that's why I wanted you guys to hear this particular little clip.
Hi, Minister. Good to see you as always. Thanks for making time for the show.
You bet, Fashion.
I have a number of questions related to your portfolio, and most particularly dental care, but I did want to start off asking about where I know you're headed, caucus over in Nanaimo, BC. One of your colleagues, Julie Dershowitz, told CTV this weekend, quote, "We're worried, given the end of the deal with the NDP, given the resignation of your campaign director, and given public opinion polls. Are you worried?"
No, I'm not. I think that my focus is on the business of being Canada's health minister, and I think our government is focused on the same thing, which is making sure that we help people and that we're focused on governing. Look, things go up, things go down. I think for me, I was there in 04, 06, 08, 11, 15, et cetera, so forth. This would be my 8th federal election.
His 8th federal election. How many lives are on this guy's hands? I will always wonder. I'll always have that question given knowing what he does now.
You learn to not get too invested in these ups and downs. You stay focused on what you were elected to do. And we were elected to serve Canadians and get things done, things like dental care, pharmacare. So that's what my focus is. And I don't sort of focus on these up and down machinations.
So he doesn't focus on the ups and downs, but I mean, this time.
So I'll add this clip in the Substack so everybody can check it out tomorrow. But Mark Holland, again, like I said, I didn't know he'd been around since 04. 8 federal elections. He's survived. Shouldn't they? Not if your only intent is to kill people. You don't need almost any degree in that. And he just delegates, right? I don't think anybody actually in power, if they do understand, they probably do understand what treason really means, which is why they're so good at protecting it and covering it up. They know. They know once this house of Babel comes down, I don't see any of them getting away. 100%. This is total insanity, and insanity is unsustainable, and that's why we have to keep going. And all of that. He is 100% delusional. He's towing the party line. Lie. Everything is wonderful. Don't believe the polls. Don't believe your lying eyes. Everything is fine in Canada, right? So that's kind of where Mark Holland is at. Meanwhile, he is, five left. Whatever the case that might be. I think it's going to be interesting this coming Monday. There's by-elections, or there's elections, by-elections in Winnipeg and in Montreal, which is David Lametti's region, I believe, where he needs to be forced out of office as well. So Mr. Holland is the one. His job is to get more death done in Canada through the quote-unquote health system. So Mark Carney's statements towards all of this: the world is becoming more divided and dangerous, but the hard work of Canadians means we can manage these risks and seize the enormous opportunities in the new global economy. What the hell does that even mean, right? Canada's Liberals have achieved real progress for all Canadians. With a winning growth plan, we can build the strongest economy in the G7 and an even better future for all. Right? Like this delusional Kool-Aid these guys are all drinking is absolutely absurd. And this post from Jenny Byrne as a columnist, James Iveson, or John Iveson, political journalist, author of The Righteous Passions of Robbie Burns and Trudeau, The Education of a Prime Minister. No, I won't follow this clown. I don't know how he has almost 60,000 followers, but he's absolutely, of course, entitled to his opinion, but he should at least disclose to the National Post readers that he's writing for that he's really good friends with carbon tax Carney. Iverson even did glowing interviews promoting his tennis partner when Carney was appointed in the UK. So from the Times of London, this guy that writes at the National Post is again part of the big boy club running interference and promotions for Mr. Mark Carney, of course. Getting down to the last couple of stories here, guys. A short little video under the hashtag Banana Canada that I cannot help but using when I have nothing else to say. Sometimes, you know, you used to be raised with, that if he didn't have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. So that's as close to as I can get to saying, nothing nice, but still saying more than nothing at all. And parasites is not too strong a word to call the political class in Canada. So listen to this 1 minute segment.
The amount of corruption in Canada is incomprehensible. In a recent government hearing, it was revealed that Annette Verschuren, chair of the Liberals' Green Slush Fund, was handpicked by the Prime Minister's office. This despite the fact that companies she was directly involved with had already received over $12 million from the very fund she was being appointed to oversee, a glaring conflict of interest. After her appointment, those same companies received an additional $36 million in taxpayer funding. And this is just one fund. The Green Slush Fund alone is under investigation for the misappropriation of around $150 million. Now imagine there are dozens more just like it. Meanwhile, the average Canadian is paying more in taxes than they are for housing, food, and clothing combined. In other words, corrupt politicians are siphoning more from citizens than they're left with for their basic survival. This isn't just mismanagement, it's criminal.
100%. 100% agree with this young feller at Blender News. I am following him now. Very well stated. And, you go back to the hypocrisy that we started this show off with Melanie Jolie's husband being the greatest recipient of $45 million of crime, and her saying, "Oh, shut up, sit down, I'm talking, and I'm telling you, Canadians don't want an election. They just want us to rule them," while we've got, Yves saying whatever his insane in Quebec promising to extort Jagmeet's recent decision to so he can get more out of Canada, or else. And we covered that last night, and that's 100% it, guys. Quebec's going to use that pull this, we'll start our own country card if they don't get what they want out of keeping Trudeau in power right now. And Trudeau is desperate to stay in power. Well, that's why Mark Carney, so that they can keep this crime spree going in the illusion while they push through bills C-293 and bills C-63 and some of these other insane things that they're doing. So I'm just going to play here the first minute of this clip from Market Mania to kind of set the tone for.
More and more Canadians are defaulting on their mortgages, as we're going to get into on this report, which comes from Equifax, which is a credit agency in Canada. We cover this on a quarterly basis. The data that comes in this report is incredibly delayed. Realize we're talking about Q2 2024 here, and we are moving into Q4 right now. So do you think the situation has got worse or better? I'll let you be the judge.
So I'm not going to play this whole clip because it's 12.5 minutes. He breaks it all down, but what I wanted to stop it there was, do you think things are getting better in the last half of this year as they were in the first quarter? Because in the first quarter, consumer debt levels rose to 2.5 trillion in the second quarter of 2024, marking a 4.2% increase since Q2 of 2023. So the numbers are delayed and behind, and it's not getting better. And what they're saying, and what he goes on to explain here, which is significant, is this is based on the housing sector. But what's happening in the meantime, as he goes through here, is the delinquencies for younger people. Mortgages are the last ones they're defaulting on. The last bill. They're paying everything else. They're defaulting on their house. They're still paying their mortgage when they're sitting there with no power and no credit card and no groceries, and they've defaulted on everything else. The last thing they hold on to is their mortgage. And with 2.5 trillion deeper in debt in that quarter, it's a frightening situation. Thanks, Fozzie, for I hope I said that right, for the super chat on Rumble. Excuse me, $20. I don't get those too often. It's 2 days in a row here. Fantastic. Thank you so much. You are much appreciated. So this is for those of you guys that want to dig this out in the Substack tomorrow. You'll be able to break it down a little further. Comment that was put up earlier to to get in touch with your MPs and senators. That's what this post is about. This is a real quick, simple, easy thing, guys. I got my tick box on it yesterday, and I got a response from my senator. It literally only takes 30 seconds to let your senators know what you think about Bill C-293, and this is important. Not so much for expecting. I don't want to set up false hopes about expecting this, but this is the beginning. This is the beginning of something bigger. When I started the show off earlier, talking about some collaborative ventures coming up that are going to be important, this is a part of one of those, and this is going to be interactive, community-wide, nationwide, between others just like us in our communities. And this is a real simple and easy way to start. It only takes 30 seconds to do it. Select your prefix, enter your name, address, and hit next, and it will literally pull up your senators, your representative senators, and there's a template email, simple to do and use, and a template letter. And you can go in there and you can change it. You can do whatever you want to alter it if you need. I'll put that back and fire it away. That is literally how long it takes to let them know, and do it again the next day, and do it a couple of times a day. Pass it on to your friends. Let's make this go viral. All right, guys. Real simple way to do that. I'll put that link again. Will be in the. I'll put it in the chat here for a few people. A couple people will be able to pick it up on the different platforms for everybody. But let's make this a contest. Let's every day, let's I don't know, somebody come up with a hashtag, an idea, something that we can use to get together each day and say, hey, I got my response today from my senator. Let's keep tabs on this, and let's build it into something. Let's make it a game. Let's make it a game. without false expectations, let's just do it, because right now is the only time they're ever going to be paying attention. So let's use our voices while we have them, while we can. So now, just before everybody gets over to the main event, tonight, in the theme of the good spirit and good nature for the Donald Trump Kamala Harris debate, point made for the orange man bad. No one ate your cats when I was president. The cat meme game has gone off the hook in America on the social media platforms the last couple of days because of a whole other story to do with more ethnic diversity. But don't be surprised if you don't see people walking down the street carrying Canada geese for dinner sometime soon. All right, guys, that's it for tonight. I love you all. Stay mighty, my friends and family and patriots and fellow warriors and prisoners and comrades too. Thank you for the super chat there, Fazi. I however that goes. Same time, same place tomorrow. 5 days a week we do this. What else I got here? The Substack links. Give us a plug to get plugged in on whatsupcanada.substack.com. If you want, I am absolutely a caffeine addict. I live on coffee and Wi-Fi. That is my life support system. There's a great way to help me out. You can find a link to that on the Substacks as well. Real simple way to support me and keep me going. Contact at whatsupcanada.org if you've got an interesting story, or you're a whistleblower, or something that I need to know, or if you have questions, or if you want to get plugged into next Sunday's special event, private event, or if you want to get involved in something else, if you just want to say hi, if you want my mailing address, anything that you want, that is the best way to reach out. Heard from an old friend today. You might see a special collaboration coming up in a different capacity. Somebody that's taken a step away from the media space for a while, and I was kind of surprised to see his number come across my phone today. But it was good. It was good, and there's a reason why I encourage everybody to support your favorite journalist out there. Whether, no matter who it is, if it's somebody that you trust and you believe in, and that they're doing things for the right way, and they're not, trying to sell you down the garden path, if they're not just a part of the Freedom Industrial Complex, if they are genuinely working for you to give you guys the best information possible so that you can make the best decisions possible, support them. They are the tip of the spear in this information war, and you guys know the difference between them. And so yes, absolutely support them, whoever that might be. If this platform is that for you, if we do that for you, this is the best way to make sure that every penny that you send, and I know people don't have much to waste, but that is how 100% of it gets to me. There's no service charges. There's service charges anywhere else. But whatever it is that you do, thank you. For all that you do, everything that you do. You guys are so deeply appreciated. I have no words. I can't make up new ones that adequately say what you guys all mean to me and this community, and what we do and achieve together. The impacts are so much farther reaching than any of us ever realize. And from time to time, I get really humbling reminders of that. So I love you guys all. Check out the one of my favorite partners, and I talk about this from time to time. I'm going to play you out with a partner company here. I only have 3 partner companies. One of them is New World Precious Metals. We talk with Bryce every Friday. Why? Because they provide the most genuine, real solution to people that are interested in precious metals, getting out of their, protecting themselves from the bail-ins. To me, that's the biggest reason why I wanted to hook up with Bryce, is they help people get out of their bankers and into things that they can put their hands on. They're not going to get people that are able to do that are not going to be destroyed nearly as badly in the coming days. So that's why New World Precious Metals is the only company that does what they do. So that's why I give Bryce a show every Friday. is so that we can keep people plugged into the better choices. And this other partner, it's the infamy. Who better could I be ever choose as a partner? Although they're not Canadian, but if they are the 8th most dangerous conservatives in North America to the cabal, I want that guy on my side. I want to work with that guy. I want to be a partner with that guy's company. Because if he is so dangerous that Obama has to name him by name because he won't play with the cabal, that's who I want to do business with. And until there's a better solution, I got no problems doing that with an American businessman. So that is why I'm partnered up with the Patriot Switch guys more than anything else, is because I know not a single dollar is ever going to get through to the cabal. So that's why I do it. That's why I do it. I cannot walk into a Walmart or a London Drugs or a Costco anymore and not just feel dirty, because I know what every dollar that I spend there represents. So for me, that's my thing. That's my shtick. That's why I work with these guys. And if you're curious about it, it's a real people company, and you can find out more about that on the website and check them out. All right. I love y'all. See you tomorrow.